just in. David Ornstein tweets the following. Breaking news. Bayern Munich have now submitted a formal proposal to sign Liverpool's Luis Diaz. It was worth £58.6 million and 67.5 million euros, and was obviously immediately rejected by Liverpool, which brings up a few questions that I have. Why would you want to leave Liverpool at this stage? I don't see it. He's finished the season so well, Luis Diaz. It was probably the best, out of the three forwards, the way he finished the season. And for me personally, I just obviously agree with Liverpool, immediately rejecting this deal. But if you're going to bid for Luis Diaz, who is valued at 100 million euros, by the way, at least 80 million pounds, then you've got to come a bit more correct than 58.6. With all due respect to Bayern Munich, that is not going to do it. But the questions that follow on from this are the following. One, why would you want to leave Liverpool at this stage, going into another season to try and retain the Premier League? There was a video of him recently saying, he was very chilled and calm at Liverpool. It was in Spanish. And who would Liverpool replace him with? And what would the fee be that Liverpool would need to bring him in through the door realistically? There's been links recently to Rodrigo, even one to Vinny Jr. I saw yesterday. I mean, I'd rather just keep Luis Diaz, if I'm honest. He's at that age where he might be looking for a new challenge. He's 28 now. But again, I go back to it. What would make you want to leave Liverpool at this stage? Especially with what's happened recently. I'd assume that all the Liverpool players are feeling more together than ever at the minute. All, a band of brothers going through the same thing. So I'm confused by this one. I know Bayern Munich have been interested, but that offer is obviously going to get immediately rejected. So let's act a little bit more accordingly here, please, Mr. Munich. But yeah, instantly rejected by Liverpool. So let me know in the chat how you feel about this one, Liverpool fans. I definitely don't want Anthony Gordon, I'll be honest with you. Wirtz could play on the left and cut in and maybe swap and interchange with Szoboszlai. So the first game of the season, whatever team sheet, when we play Bournemouth at home, whatever team sheet gets put out, all eyes are going to be on it because we want to see how Liverpool are going to line up in that forward position. We have heard today as well through Ornstein that Liverpool view Chiesa next season as a forward player, right? A central forward player. So how does this one end? Where does it finish up for Luis Diaz? Does he stay at Liverpool? Does he go to Bayern Munich? Let us know in the chat. It's an interesting one to see how this develops. And, will Liverpool accept the offer if another 10 million gets added to it? And will they look to replace him straight away? As well as the fact they do need another striker as well, as we know. Eze to Arsenal story, is it still alive? Well, allegedly Arsenal are set to approach Crystal Palace to discuss whether they can do a deal for the 27-year-old winger without triggering that £68 million release clause, which they don't want to pay. They've just spent £55 million on Madueke, who's obviously, en route as we speak, probably to London Colney. Mosquera's coming in. Gyökeres is going to be announced very soon. They've bought Norgard, they bought Kepa, they bought Zubimendi as well. So Arsenal fans, let me know how you rate your transfer window now, considering you have brought in that main priority of a striker. But Arsenal are going to call Crystal Palace and go, look, we want the player, we want the deal, but what can you do? Can we do something a little bit less than the £68 million release clause, which I actually think Crystal Palace should decline. It's a release clause for a reason. Arsenal have triggered the release clause of Gyökeres, and they'd have to do the same, for Palace and Eze. Now, Palace might not want to play ball. They might want to say, well, listen, the price is set. You either match it or you walk away. But also at the same time, will they have a list of clubs other than Arsenal in for the player? I'm not too sure. Very, very talented player. But how many top teams are willing to pay that £68 million release clause? Let me know in the chat and we'll soon find out. But a few questions for Arsenal fans. Is he definitely needed? What's his best position? And how much would Arsenal be willing to pay for the player? And who would he replace? I mean, if you're paying that much, 60 odd million for a player, he's got to be started, right? He has to be. So how does it affect Odegaard's situation? How does it affect Madueke? Which position will he even play in? Is it right? Is it central? Is it left? In this day and age, when you're fighting for Premier League, Champions Leagues, of course, you need two great players in every position. And I understand on paper what Arsenal are trying to do here, and it seems like they've moved on really from Rodrigo as well. So Arsenal, will they get their man? Eberechi Eze, will he end up at Arsenal? Let me know in the chat. And how much would Arsenal be willing to pay for his services as well? Sticking on Arsenal, Christian Mosquera is expected to arrive in England today to begin his medical with Arsenal. It'll be a 5-year contract. Hopefully, for Arsenal's sake, it will be sorted in time to be a part of that squad that flies out to Asia for the club's pre-season tour this Saturday. It's Tuesday now, so there is still time. It's £13 million up front, plus add-ons for the defender who, and again, since he's been linked with Arsenal, we've spoken in depth about this kid. Very talented, front foot defender, very aggressive, quick, strong. Plays with Dean Howsam for the Spanish under-21, so comes with pedigree, right? And he's not coming in to replace Saliba or Gabriel, but he certainly will be a very good backup and a position which Arsenal actually have a lot of depth in. If you look at Ben White, Kirill can play there as well, and others. So listen, it's a good signing, one for the future for Arsenal for sure. Let's go up to Manchester United. This one is stalling, it's late, and the gap between Manchester United and Brentford on their valuation of Bryan Mbeumo, it remains considerably apart, right? According to the Athletic's David Ornstein, the two sides are several £million apart on this one. Now, I think this one started off at least over a month ago. Pretty much when the transfer window opened, this link and this rumour grew at pace very quickly. Now, listen, there's been no significant developments over the last few weeks. Sir Jim, he's stalling. He's not getting his full wallet out. He's showing them a bit of cash, right, over a couple of years' payments. But Brentford, and I agree with them, they're well within their rights to say, listen, we've been speaking for weeks now. If you can't stump up the cash, get out. If you haven't got what it takes, get out. You're wasting our time. Obviously, Tottenham were interested in Wissa as well, which maybe that might be the end of that one, actually, because they bought Kudus, but it does look like Wissa or Mbeumo is going to go. I can't see them both going. I think Keith Andrews will want to definitely keep hold of one. You've got to replace those goals now if one of them leaves. But Brentford fans, how annoyed are you by this stalling of this transfer? And Manchester United fans as well. Are you going to get Bryan Mbeumo, and how much is it going to be? Because at this stage, according to David Ornstein, they're miles apart, both teams. So listen, it's going to be an interesting finish to see how that one ends. Oshiman, a top striker that Manchester United themselves have had a look at. Galatasaray reject Napoli's new conditions for the Victor Oshiman deal. Talks will continue if the conditions change. This is according to Fabrizio. Napoli did ask initially for €40 million now, plus 35 to be paid by 2026, plus the sell-on clause. But Galatasaray want to pay 35 million by 2027, and in the sell-on clauses, they're refusing to do that. So once more, like the Mbeumo situation, this one just seems to be rolling on, and it begs the question, right? Again, if Napoli are stalling, if Galatasaray are stalling, they both can't meet, then another big club could swoop in and take Victor Oshiman off their hands. So should Liverpool be interested in him? Should Manchester United go back in for him if they can't get Mbeumo? Let us know in the chat. This one is stalling, to say the very least. Let's go to Brentford. We just mentioned them there. They have announced the signing of Jordan Henderson, the former Premier League, Champions League winning Liverpool captain, on a 2-year deal, right? The midfielder joins the Bees on a free transfer. There was a clause in his Ajax contract which allowed him to terminate it a year early if a Premier League team comes in. He's obviously thinking as well, isn't he, about getting in that Thomas Tuchel World Cup squad for next season. And the Brentford boss, Keith Andrews, the Irishman, said, well, when we became aware of Jordan's availability, it was a pretty simple decision. We've done our due diligence around his recent games to see where he is. He's still phenomenally fit, phenomenally motivated to achieve things in the game, still having already achieved a lot. And he will drive the standards and be a brilliant addition to the squad. Now, at 35, he's not going to run around like a 21-year-old Jordan Henderson, but what he does bring, and what I do like about this signing, is he definitely brings that Premier League experience that maybe some of the new lads won't have at Brentford. He obviously joins up with his former teammate, Queeveen Kelleher, So there's that connection there. But I don't think this is, I don't think there's much harm in this deal. If anything, Brentford were going to be buzzing to have someone in with that much Premier League experience. He's obviously won the Prem. But at 35, can he be that relied upon midfielder week in, week out, doing the hard yards? I'm not too sure. I'd have to see him again. I haven't seen Jordan Henderson play. I'll be honest, I didn't watch him at Ajax. I haven't watched him at Saudi. That was a failed trip. So it will be interesting, and I'll have a keen eye on this one, to be honest with you, to see how he gets on in West London. Speaking of Liverpool, the news this morning was that David Ornstein said that Liverpool is still very much interested in Ekitike and Isak. Yes, we know Newcastle still want Ekitike to allegedly play with Isak. I just can't see it, and it very much reminds me of when Luis Suarez was told that he'd be playing with Fernando Torres in 2011. Suarez comes in the door, Torres leaves the door and goes to Chelsea. So is it a smokescreen? Will Liverpool get either Isak or Ekitike? If my money was on a name, I would go for Liverpool to get Ekitike. I do think Isak stays. But one thing I fail to believe, really, is that they play together in the same team for Newcastle, being so similar as well. I can't see that happening. The Newcastle fans think that the ambition is there, and they want to get him in and obviously have Isak play with Ilanga. But how does that formation change? Do they go to a 4-4-2? And if they do that, what happens to that brilliant trio in midfield as well? How is that affected? So Darwin Núñez as well, by the way, is still tussling with Napoli for extra money. There is also a shout from Al Hilal and Inzaghi to go over to Saudi, and you'd expect the fee to be a little bit more if he goes there. But this striker domino effect, when will it end, Robbie? Let us know in the chat. I do think Gyökeres is the first domino to fall. Maybe Ekitike is the second one. Maybe Sesko and Isak could be the third and the fourth. We don't know. Only time will tell. But there's around about 5.5 weeks left of this transfer window. So still plenty of time to get your deals done. Right? Smash that like button. Get your comments in. We'll be back on DR Sports live at 5 with more news updates as they come to us. But until then, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And we'll see you later. Take care.